Well, after nearly 10 hours of hotly contested bidding late Friday, Men's Warehouse salvaged Filene's basement from bankruptcy, paying more than $60 million for the 100-year-old chain and toppling the bid by rival Sims. And Men's Warehouse now owns the Filene's basement brand and will keep 20 of 25 stores open, including the famous downtown Boston store considered the crown jewel. It's just another battle between two prominent menswear retailers. Chris Cotter gives us a look back at how Men's Warehouse and Sims became two of America's greatest business rivals.
You're going to like the way you look. I guarantee it.
In 1973, just 3 years out of college, George Zimmer opened the first Men's Warehouse in Houston, Texas. Zimmer sold suits well below the prices of high-priced department stores, and by 1985, he boasted 25 stores. Emphasizing integrity and service, Men's Warehouse exploded in the early 1990s, adding 67 new stores between 1990 and 1992. The second half of the 90s was marked by acquisition. It ended the decade with 450 stores nationwide.
Thank you. At Sims, it's names you must know.
In 1959, after a falling out over ownership, Cy Mearns left his brother's discount clothier store in Lower Manhattan to open his own rival store around the corner. The name of the store, Cy Mearns, was shortened to Sims, with Mearns eventually taking it as his legal surname. Taking a no-frills approach, Sims sold merchandise up to 40% below retail and had 10 East Coast locations by 1982. Sims went public the following year, and by 1990, it had expanded to Baltimore, Tampa, and Houston. Cy's daughter, Marcy, succeeded him as CEO in 1998, steering the company through difficult times, which included 10 store closings between 2000 and 2005. Currently, Sims operates 33 stores in 13 states. So while these two battle it out over discounted suits and slacks, how are their stocks faring? Well, if you bought 1,000 shares of Men's Warehouse on May 28, 1999, they would have been worth $25,530. Today, those same shares amount to $16,470. On that same date in 1999, 1,000 shares of Sims stock netted $7,940. 10 years later, those same shares would get you $6,700.
All right, with us now to sort through the rivalry, the Friedman Group founder and CEO Harry Friedman in Los Angeles, and Craig Johnson, the president of Customer Growth Partners. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to see you guys. All right, Craig, first of all, let's talk a little bit about the history of these two companies. Why is it that there is this rivalry that has lasted for quite some time?
Well, these are two great stories in American retailing, both family or based oriented. Cy Sims created the company, literally 50 years ago when his daughter picked it up 10 years ago as CEO. And then George Zimmer's father had been in the business, in the apparel business, and he created his store about 40 years ago. They're two great rivals. Sims is a much smaller company, only about 30 stores versus the 1,200 that Men's Warehouse has. But Sims actually is a true off-price retailer. And the great irony of the acquisition that Men's Warehouse just bought
is they're buying off-price retailer.
They're buying the creator of the concept of off-price retail in Filene's basement, which is 100 years old, and created the concept literally a century ago.
If you take
there was also
go ahead, Harry.
Well, there was also a huge hole in that niche of retailing during the time that they both built their organization. So it's no surprise that you call them rivals. I don't know that they are. They can be directly in the markets that they're in, but Men's Warehouse is a much fuller and robust organization than Sims is.
Craig, let's talk about not only their footprint, because as he does point out, their footprint is much bigger at Men's Warehouse, but they also do sell apparel to women as well. What's the difference?
Well, Sims is about 55% men's and about 30% women's. Men's Warehouse is about 80% men's and maybe 18-20% women's. And so they do sell with women. They primarily both remain men's oriented. The great thing about Sims, though, a smaller company, they created the idea of they had the idea of the automatic discount for women's dresses. And so they are a little stronger on the women's side. The Men's Warehouse remains primarily men's.
And Harry, talk to me a little bit about George Zimmer, the DNA of Men's Warehouse. What is it about, the marketing behind these brands that has led to some of the success?
Well, first of all, from my point of view, he's an outstanding retailer who is able to execute at store level. So, and his selling propositions are terrific. So when one's able to execute at off price, which was the category that was so sorely needed in the time that he was building his organization, plus his ability to strategically put together some purchases, the guy's terrific. You know, whether or not anybody needs any more stores at this stage of the game is questionable. I was actually quite surprised that they bid on the on Filene's.
Interesting, because you have talked about Filene's, particularly the one in the Boston market, being considered the crown jewel. I used to go there. I remember when I used to go to Boston, it's always been considered the crown jewel of the franchise. Why does that deal make sense for Men's Warehouse, and how does it hurt Sims and Grenado that they lost it?
Well, it actually does help Men's Warehouse. There's actually two locations in downtown Boston. One's the Back Bay, which is operating. The downtown crossing, which is the original, that is actually closed now, and that was owned. The landlord is Grenado, and they wanted, it's a very low-cost lease, a $2.27 lease. Grenado wanted to pick it up out of bankruptcy. But for Men's Warehouse, it's a great location, and they will be picking up some very strong locations from out of the Filene's. Whether they keep them all open, that's a different question, because the market still is overstored, clearly.
And Craig, this is a difficult climate, but Men's Warehouse has been doing a little bit better than Sims. Sims is really a family-run company.
Right.
Walk me through here, 5 years from now, Craig, where does this look like?
Well, Men's Warehouse is a much more professionally managed company, a tremendous board, and Sims, at the end of the day, is still family controlled, 57, 60% owned by by family. 5 years from now, I'm not sure exactly where Sims is going to be. Men's Warehouse will definitely be around, and a very strong competitor.
All right. Well, Terry and Craig, we have to leave it there. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. Coming up, Charles.